Actually,
who is this guy anyways?
this isn't their first game. You got it wrong, buddy.
I made a mistake. But what the heck are these older titles then? Where do I even begin with this deep cut of HoYoverse games? Maybe the fact that they bought the rights to a Hatsune Miku song? It's insane how long HOYO-MiX has been in the music industry and the game industry ever since the 2010s essentially. But let's not delay the inevitable. This video will cover the actual early start of the music department, with Fly Me to the Moon, Zombiegal Kawaii, and finishing with Gun Girl Z, which led to Honkai Impact 3rd and their future games. I will also cover Tetra Calyx, as I missed her in the other video and I apologize to her and to you as a community. I'm like not a fan or anything like that, surely. But anyways, did you know the original team of HOYO-MiX made the song gradually collapsing Hatsune Miku, and then later got the rights to it after? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Miku in this, so be prepared. Let's fly away into the stratosphere, to the stars and the moon. In 2010, one of the co-founders of mihoyo, Kai Hayu, developed the Misato engine, which was an isometric tile-based game engine using Adobe Flash Player. This engine was later used by them to create their first ever title, Legend of Saha, which gained them some money from a competition they enlisted in. But the Neon Genesis Evangelion references did not stop here, because their next game was the ending theme of the show essentially. Fly Me to the Moon was the beginning for HoYoverse games, and a step in the fundamental kawaii type of era they would make in the future. To be honest, this game is pretty simple from what I've seen. It's a platform/puzzle game in which you control an early version of Kiana to literally reach the moon. There are 60 levels in total, with each one having different ways to get to the moon, as well as collecting various crystals along the way. But let's talk about the music of it, because this game's main theme was not only produced by the original HOYO-MiX team, but with the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku. Yep, that's right, freaking Hatsune Miku. Out of everyone I would have expected, she was not one of them. But it makes sense, because before their name change, the Mi and mihoyo actually stood for Miku, because it was their favorite Vocaloid at the time. And another fun fact, for the name mihoyo, the double O's in the name was inspired from major companies that had double O's, like Facebook, Google, and Microsoft. I would like to mention that around this time, which was roughly 2011, Hatsune Miku came out with her own version of Honkai World Diva, which we'll get into in the next game. This game has one major track, with that being its Moon Trip theme, which is voiced by Miku. This and some of the other songs in the game, like Spiral of Adventure, Symphony of Rush, Sky Tunnel, Life for Speed, and Hectic. These songs help make certain sections of the game feel a little more unique with the puzzles and the platforms, which helped with the next game that was a major stepping stone from the ground, and that was Zombiegal Kawaii. I'm not going to lie, this game really surprised me by storm. Because in my research phase, there were a lot of people saying that this was Hokai Gauken 1, but it's also the second one, but it isn't, but it is. I'm calling that it is since it would make sense chronologically in the HoYoverse timeline. But anyways, this 2D beat 'em up game was a good stepping stone for its sequel to even the mentions of the song Honkai World Diva. The main protagonist again is Kiana, which makes me happy that she's been there from the start essentially. The music of this game is unironically a bop for being this old, but not to mention the main theme again is sung by our queen Hatsune Miku. There is no defined name for the song, but there is a launch trailer which showcases what this game is about in a Persona 4 style. I might do a video on Persona, but we'll let the poll decide. This game is also heavily inspired by the anime High School of the Dead, if you couldn't tell. Here is the trailer. So remember how I told you that Miku's version of the song World Diva was going to come back? Yeah, so about that. There were two versions made in 2011, one by Hatsune Miku and one by Saya, which were released around the same year roughly. Kai listened to the song and liked it to the point that he later managed to hire some of the sound members of Miku's voice department to join miHoYo, which helped them gain the rights to Honkai World Diva, essentially, from my understanding. And that helped this game gain the earliest iteration of Honkai World Diva, with the main motif being played in the background song in this game. This game, from my research, has 6 songs in total, one being the main theme by Miku, a shop theme, and a few other songs that played throughout the game. There's no really defined name for them, so for those who have helped out, if you know the names, comment them down below, and I appreciate you and thank you. But here are a few snippets of them in order. This game helped them get onto the Apple Store after talking and changing some of the models and gameplay because it was against TOS. They were able to get various forms of feedback from their customers and gamers alike. This game did have an impact on the team as they became uncertain as to continue the brand of this franchise because of money issues, but they decided to pursue the brand and it ultimately paid off in the end. Their next project was Gun Girl Z. Gun Girl Z, otherwise known as Hukai Gaokun 2. I probably butchered that, and I'm sorry, was the next step in the HoYoverse timeline and the birth and start of their music department, HOYO-MiX. This game reused assets, characters, and core gameplay mechanics from the first, which made it easier to import and expand on. The team at the start of this game only consisted of 7 people at the time, to the point that customer service had to be done by Wei Lu. Yep, that Wei. This game became an instant hit in the Japanese game market. In the first year alone, they amassed over 100 million yuan, which is insane. This revenue that they gathered let them hire more people and expand their offices too. Not only that, it helped them to explore different production houses, which led to the birth and creation of the music department, HOYOMIX. And this is where our lovely Vocaloid, who I missed out talking about, comes in. Tetracalix, one of the earliest people to have ever collaborated with the game studio, to the point that she even became the main voice for Bronya in GGZ at the earliest stages before she got another voice actor. The birth of HOYOMIX was because of the success of this game, which they ended up reusing some of the older songs they made and importing them into this successor. In that process, some of the older songs were refurbished to better fit this game. And Tetracalix made her own rendition of Honkai World Diva for the game. Which this song premiered with 2 other covers she made in their first ever official HOYO-MiX album. The album features these songs here. Tetracalix solidified her place in the HOYO-MiX team, and since then continued to develop lyrics and produce future soundtracks that you've probably known by now. But if not, these are some of the soundtracks she starred in and also helped produce. If it wasn't for Tetracalix and Hatsune Miku, we wouldn't have gotten these amazing soundtracks we all know and appreciate. So thank you, and I apologize. Not to mention the fact that Tetracalix is still writing music for them. In hindsight, we wouldn't have gotten Genshin Impact, Honkai Impact 3rd, ZZZ, and Starville if it wasn't for these games. Gun Girl Seed helped the team to realize that they could have shoot for greater games, which they did. And it was only through the live service of GGC that they started to develop their next game in the HoYoverse timeline. And if you know your HoYoverse history, this was Honkai Impact 3rd. It's wild to think that Impact 3rd was in development 2 years after the game was launched. Like, they were already thinking of what to make essentially because of their success. I'd love to mention that this soundtrack's songs show up in Impact 3's soundtracks to an extent. There are certain motifs that play in sections in Honkai Impact 3 that are from GZC. And obviously the big Honkai World Diva rendition that came from GGC and later was re-recorded with Mika Kobayashi as the main voice. But it's a nice touch from the HOYO-MiX team to incorporate their earlier OSTs into their next game, which was a major global success. There's a lot of minute details that I might have missed and or didn't mention in full, but this is just a little brief history for the earlier games of HoYoverse and the birth of their music department, HOYO-MiX. I have not mentioned Tears of Themis because, well, I'm not going to lie, y'all, it's just not as interesting as their other games, at least to me. But if y'all want me to talk about it, I can, but it's not something that I would go out of my way to know about. The history of HoYoverse is one with a financial crisis and a small team that almost gave up but prevailed and solidified themselves in the gacha industry and as a game company. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna cook next. They just released the OSC for Genshin Impact's new region, or like region expansion, and I've been listening to it, and it's good. They also just came out with Lighter's character demo OSC or something with the OSC, and also with Honkai Impact 3rd, I believe. So they're just cooking up a lot of stuff, and I'm all here for it. But enough talk. I'll see y'all in the next video.